I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach. Welcome to the new Love Addiction, where we are not talking about addiction. We're talking about attachment injuries and healing attachment trauma. I want to point out that attachment trauma, to be living in an activated state of mind that is informed by emotional developmental trauma, that inherently is dysfunctional and unhealthy, and it impacts our whole view of how we are orienting to a relationship and how we're showing up in relationship. And we are essentially, if we enter a relationship and the best we can do, what we know is attachment trauma, and or inevitably the attachment trauma will be triggered and activated and impact our state of mind and impact how we are going to make choices and impact how we are cautious and fearful and hold back and or attempt to force something that's not there, or it will impact distorting reality, so we will not be able to read the interpersonal cues of relating. This is about confusion. The state of mind, a confused state of mind, and ultimately we're talking about crazy energy. I do not mean crazy in the sense of a diagnosis or a clinical term. I mean it more as in its colorful metaphorical sense of crazy mind is going to create and produce more crazy mind. And that attachment trauma, to operate from a place that what we know, our template for creating relationship is built on some woundedness and attachment injuries that have yet to be resolved. What that means is that we're attempting to build a relationship on the foundation, on a cracked foundation, a foundation that is linked to confusion, a foundation that is linked to not really getting what you want, to not being able to sustain emotional exchange and to build on creating a relationship of trust and safety and being understood. And because of that, crazy creates more crazy. Confusion creates more confusion. And I like to call this the boomerang effect. And what I mean is there's a ripple out effect, and or it's going to boomerang back, it's going to come back to you. So that even when you attempt to relate differently from a bit more of a wisdom place, to relate differently from using your skill set, your intelligent mind, your newfound healing work, you're trying to apply your healing work, that if you're still coming from a place, and oftentimes this is not conscious, it's subconscious, it's that we still have not been able to completely remove ourselves from the old patterns of relating, and that when we enter a relationship, we default to what we know. And now this is going to sound like a riddle. This is going to sound painful. This is going to say, well, how the heck can I be in relationship if even my attempts to come from a healthy place are going to be hijacked from with a dysfunctional way of relating? And let's just pause in this moment to feel and know that dilemma. That is what many of us are working with. That we could have good intentions, we can see the old pattern, we have learned some new skills, and nonetheless, we recreate yet again, or we get sucked into, we get hooked, we find ourselves playing out yet again more dysfunctional patterns of relating, and that we have triggered, activated, the life circumstances have activated this attachment trauma. And now we are attempting to get our emotional, relational needs met through the lens or by operating from our attachment trauma. It will not work. It is a setup. It is sad. It is suffering, inviting more suffering. So it's important to really take a step back, to begin to have a new, fresh mind that says, I have got to pursue a relationship completely differently from any way that I ever have before. I cannot afford due to this level of crushing suffering and this grief that wipes me out every time I'm in a relationship that fails, that is unsustainable, and that ends up where either just you or everybody involved is so hurt. This cannot continue. So there needs to be a very honest looking in the mirror, and to, at least if you don't know what a new, fresher way of relating is going to be, or to take its place, to replace the old way of attachment trauma, relating through the attachment injuries. Even if you do not know how to do that, we do our best. We begin, the first place is to set the intention to really have a strong, clear boundary that says, I am not going to casually, mindlessly try to recreate a new relationship until I have clarity, until I have some reassurance that I am not coming from and operating from attachment trauma. Because if I am not diligent, if I am not very much policing my mind and policing this behavior, and I think that it's going to casually somehow unfold in my favor, I am being naive and I am denying the power of how this attachment trauma runs over me and crushes me every single time. So if you can relate to this, this is a kind of clarion call. It is a spiritual awakening to invite you to look out for yourself and say, we cannot continue in this old way. Because if we do, we're inviting crazy energy. We're inviting dysfunctional thinking. We're inviting these attachment injuries to play out again and again and again. And that is how we keep hurting ourselves. It is torturous. So plan one, or step one in the plan, is to be able to have strong boundaries about not casually pursuing relationships in the old way of doing it. And that is very, very important to align yourself with learning some new skills of relating. I hope that this is helpful. Please protect yourself. We cannot afford yet another relationship to crash and burn, and for your sense of self to be crushed in the process. It is just too painful. It is too painful to continue in this way. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you want to learn more about me, please go to alanrobarge.com. Thank you.